how to do a titration once again. So first thing, in order to do a titration, you have to have a standard solution, and I'm going to use a base as my standard solution. That base is 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to have the molarity of my base is 0.1 molar. That's my standard solution. That's what I'm going to use. So the first thing we need to do is add our standard solution to the burette. So to do that, I'm going to have my funnel in there, and I need to adjust this a little bit so that it's closer to me. All right, so I'm going to add it to my burette, and I want to fill it all the way up to 0. I'm actually going to fill it a little bit past the 0. All right, so I fill it up past the 0, and the reason I fill it up past the 0 is because right now my burette was empty. Make sure you put the cap back on that. My burette was empty, so this part down here, the valve spout, is actually filled with air right now. So I filled it up past 0 so that I can then drain some out into a trash beaker. This is not the beaker I'm going to use for my final experiment. So I drained some out, making sure that my level is exactly at 0. So I have my burette set up to where I can read the scale on it right here, right in front of my eyes. I don't want it to start out exactly at 0. Now what I'm going to do is remove my trash beaker out of the way, and I'm going to get my sample of my acid. The acid is unknown. I don't know the concentration of this acid. I have already added the universal indicator to this. That's why it is red. It has the indicator added to it. I'm going to put that in my graduated cylinder. I'm going to measure out 10 milliliters. So I'm going to get down on the level with my graduated cylinder, and I'm going to pour in 10 milliliters. Now, you don't have to be exactly 100% accurate. You just need to get really close. Now, once you pour in your acid, you do need to make sure that you measure or record the exact volume. So the exact volume of this, getting down on the line to look at it, the bottom of the meniscus, the exact volume of this is pretty much right at 10 milliliters. So that's my volume of my acid. Volume of my acid is 10 milliliters. So now I'm going to add my acid to the big beaker, and I'm going to come a little closer to do this better. I have a white piece of paper underneath here so I can see the color a little bit better, because with such a small amount of solution it's kind of hard to see. And then I'm simply going to add some acid in. The first time through, I'm going to just let it run, and I'm going to watch, and whenever it changes color, I'm just going to do kind of a fast run here of when it changes to the yellow color, which is going to be really hard to see with this small amount, but we're going to look for it. And I'm just getting a rough estimate of where it should be. All right, so it's turned completely purple now. So I'm going to look at this, and I know that that happened somewhere around 16 milliliters. Okay, so that was just to give me an idea of where to go for my accurate test. So I'm going to clean my beaker out. And I'm going to do it again. So, the whole thing, start over. I'm going to fill up my burette with my standard solution. Back up to 0. Again, if you go a little bit past 0, that's not a really big problem, because you can always drain it back out. Just make sure you drain it into your trash beaker, not your test beaker. So, get back to 0. Okay. Put my test beaker back there. Now, I used 10 milliliters of acid the last time, so I'm going to use 10 milliliters of acid this time also. So, let me use the funnel. Now this time I went a little bit past 10. It's actually at, it's like 10 point, that actually looks like an 11. Okay, so we'll call it 11.1. Now I've got to re-record my volume here. .1, and add my acid to my beaker again. And now I know that it's going to be somewhere around 16 milliliters, because that's what it was the last time. So I'm going to add this somewhat quickly. That's why we do the first trial run, so we can get a general ballpark of where it's supposed to be. That way we're not sitting here forever waiting for it to drip, drip, drip. So, alright, but I don't want to go too far. So now that I've gotten close to 16, I'm going to go a little bit slower now. Just a little bit at a time, and then I stir it. I do a little bit at a time, and then stir it. And you just keep doing that. Even let it just drop drip by drip if you want. We're looking for that yellow color. Looks like I'm getting close. It turns purple. Alright, it's almost clear. That yellow color is very hard to see with this small amount. Slightly past the point, but I'm going to go ahead and go with this number. Alright, so we're going to call that done. And I'm going to measure the volume that is left in my burette. I use 17.7 milliliters of my base. Alright, now the question is what is the molarity of my base? So this is my titration equation, where NB and NA are the coefficients from our chemical equation. The equation for this is sodium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid produces water and sodium chloride. It's a 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 ratio. So my coefficients are 1, so I don't really need to have those. So I can do my molarity of my base times the volume of my base equals the molarity of my acid times the volume of my acid. So if I'm looking for the molarity of my acid, I now divide both sides by the volume of my acid. And now if I plug in my numbers, I get 0.1 molar times. Now my volumes are in milliliters. They need to be in liters. So I'm going to take my decimal, move it 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So this is 0.0111 liters. And I'm going to divide this one by 1, 2, 3, 0.0177 liters. And so I take my calculator and I do my calculation. 0.1 times 0.0111 divided by 0.0177. And I get an answer of 0.0627 molar. So that's the answer that I get. And then we would check with the actual value, which I'm not going to tell you what that is right now, and get our percent error. That is how you perform a titration.